Okay, so as you probably know, Rhys McClenaghan was the first Irish gymnast to qualify for the Summer Tokyo Olympics. He's also been unleashing his talents behind the scenes to help design the men's gymnastics Team Ireland kit, which will soon be released. Supporting and following Rhys on his journey, Team Ireland partner and global job site Indeed released a short film from their Talent Unleashed series, the story of Rhys McClenaghan. It's worth checking that out on YouTube. We'll fire a link up in our social media account as well. Rhys McClenaghan, as you can see, is with us. How are you, Rhys?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad.
Tell us about designing the men's kit. What's this about?
Yeah, so the kit designer is actually a company called Quattro, and they design gymnastics kits specifically. So it's very good to work in like beside them in designing that kit. Of course, I'm the only male gymnast going to Tokyo, so it's very good to kind of design it in my own way, as well as pitching in on a meeting with Sport Ireland about the general kit as well, like the tracksuits and stuff. So it's great that they're kind of bringing together athletes and getting their insight into what specifically they want with the kits and how they can change it in any way.
Is design something you've always been interested in?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, obviously, growing up in sport, you do have your specific gymnastics kits and specific kit for your sport. So there's always things in the back of your head like, oh, if I was to design this kit, I would definitely change it. And now I get that opportunity to do that. So it is great to actually kind of venture down a different career pathway, if you will, and try something different and see how that works in a different way. So it's a great opportunity actually.
When you're doing things like that, when you're pouring your energy into things that don't involve gymnastics, do you get a different buzz off it?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely use aspects that I've learned from gymnastics. I think I do that in everything in life outside of gymnastics. I kind of refer it back to what I'd learned in gymnastics growing up. But it's a different environment. It's a challenge, and challenges is something that I take on head on. So it's good to kind of step out of my comfort zone and take on new challenges like that.
I was watching a few of your vlogs, speaking of this, and when I started watching them, I was like, who's editing this for Rhys? Like, these are really good. And then at the end of one of them, you were like, oh, actually, I found the editing pretty easily. You're not too bad at the vlogging, as it turns out, on both sides of the camera.
Yeah, it's just, I don't put too much effort into the editing of the vlogs. It's just like one background track,
Yeah.
low fidelity music, and then just kind of cutting the video clips. But I want it to be like that. I want it to be quite authentic in its manner, and want people to get as pure of an image of me as possible. So it's just me going into the gym. It's no like fancy music and like cutting into different animations or whatever. For one, that's way too much effort for me. Two, it's just a lot. It's a lot more authentic, and I myself like watching authentic YouTube videos, and I feel like I get a sense of the person a lot more when there's less editing in the videos.
You say there's no fancy music, but anybody who's watched the videos will know about Thug Life Thursdays, which is where you just play Tupac and train for the day.
Yeah, true. Although those are all copyrighted now. There's been copyright claims on it because I've played the music in it. But no, I'm a big fan of music. It's a shame that I can't put them too much in the videos or else they get copyrighted. But yeah, we name every single day of the week. So it's Michael Mondays for Michael Jackson. Chinese Tuesdays, we put on some Oriental Chinese music, and me and my coach both love that. It kind of sets like a nice relaxing mood. West Coast Wednesdays, Tupac or Thug Life Thursdays, and then Feel Good Fridays. Feel Good Fridays is kind of like a freestyle. We just kind of feel whatever we're feeling, and just put on some like happy music.
Is this on when you're in the depths of training, competition time, no matter what it is, you stick to this routine?
Yeah, I mean, it only came up like the last month or so.
Right.
It's just us in the gym, so we have to find different ways to kind of keep ourselves entertained or keep ourselves kind of looking forward to training. So if it is like a Monday, we'll be like, oh, it's Michael Mondays now. We can just look forward to listening to Michael. But it's something just different from focusing on gymnastics solely.
What about when you're doing your workout at home, or if you're going for a walk or a run? What are you listening to in those, or even the drive? Because I know you're driving up and down from Newton Arts to Dublin quite a bit.
My go-to is always just hip hop music. Any
Right.
form of rap music, I'm obsessed with. Absolutely love the genre. So that would be my go-to. But on the drives up and down from Dublin, I would listen to different podcasts. I feel like that's a nice kind of window to educate myself, because I wouldn't, you can't sit down and listen to a 2.5 hour podcast just in your house. You have to be doing something, and that period of driving down for 2.5 hours is a perfect opportunity to listen to some educational podcasts and just kind of feed the brain.
I find you can't be doing something too complicated, and sitting in a car, in your case, going down the M1, is just a perfect time to do that. So what are you educating yourself with on those drives?
I have a big fascination with like astrophysics and astronomy, so that's kind of like my go-to, like listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast or Professor Brian Cox. Those are kind of like my go-tos. Of course, it's an infinite learning curve where you'll never know everything about that, even if you're a professional in the subject, and I'm definitely not, but it's just kind of something that you'll always learn. Everything, like, you'll learn something new every single time you listen to a podcast on that topic. So that's what I love about that, about listening to those podcasts.
That's kind of the fascination with it as well, though. It's the literally endless finding out, the research, the endless pit of knowledge that humankind has yet to even uncover on that side of things. Is that what appeals to you about it?
Oh, definitely. It puts everything in perspective, and listening to that a couple of times a week just kind of grinds me. Like, oh, so we're actually little ants on a ball of rock floating through an infinite universe. It kind of puts those little issues like, oh, there's too much sugar in my coffee. It puts it in the perspective that, oh, it actually doesn't matter at all.
That's remarkable. Is that like, I mean, is that a chicken and egg situation where, I don't know, is that helping your sport? Is that helping you as a sports person? I mean, the fact that, oh, if I mess up in training today, it's not too insignificant, or is this actually totally separate to you as a gymnast and as a competitor?
Yeah, I think people do separate their sport from their life too much, because it goes hand in hand. If you're unhappy outside of the gym, you're going to go into the gym unhappy as well. So it's finding that balance, and if you can take any form of positives from your day-to-day life, then it's gonna have an impact on your actual sport as well. So it completely does. When I'm grounded and put into perspective from listening to those podcasts just on the car journey down, it's going to affect my gymnastics also.
Does that help you when it comes to your positivity as well? Because that's one thing that everybody comments on when it comes to you, that you're completely unafraid of saying, I want to be the best to ever approach a pommel horse. I want to win gold at the next Olympics. Is that all part of it as well?
Yeah, it definitely is, because I know that it's possible. I first of all, before I make statements like that, I try to justify it in my head. I challenge myself, like, okay, am I actually going to be the best in the world on pommel horse? And then I work it out. I'm like, well, I'm scoring this score. The world champion scored this. I can completely beat this guy. And it's all justified in my head. I'm not just kind of coming out and saying these delusional quotes, or just being right out there to try and get attention or anything. It's a complete possibility that I'm going to go to this Olympic Games and win gold. And everybody in the gymnastics community knows that more than anything. I think it's just about kind of trying to let the general public understand that too. And that'll come with more gymnastics being on the TV, and like it was from this past European Championships. It was on RTE. I think people just they pick up on new sports like that straight away. And even from watching European Championships, I would say that people knew that I was the best in that final, but I just didn't pull it off on the day.
Yeah, we might get into that in just a moment, but that idea of justifying what you're saying, nobody thinks you're delusional when you're saying it. I think a lot of people just are used to hearing Irish sports people, even if they are the best in the world or are potentially a world beater, playing down their chances because they're afraid or something. Why do you think that is, that Irish people tend to play down their chances a little bit, even if they are totally justified to say, listen, I am the best?
I think it's a little bit of a weak mentality to do that, because it's almost giving them like a fallback, so that when maybe something doesn't go their way in a competition, then it's like, oh well, I was just happy to make the final, as I said before this competition. Whereas they really wanted the medal, the gold medal, and that's something that I'm not afraid to say, because that's something that I'm always aiming for. I'm completely honest when I talk about winning gold medals, and talking about my gymnastics, full stop. And I think that is definitely becoming a thing of the past, though, kind of downplaying your performance. I'm hearing the Irish hockey girls sitting beside me in like, say, live press conferences or whatever, and saying, "Yep, we're going there to win gold." And I'm turning around being like, "Yes, that's what we should be doing." I'm hearing the taekwondo athlete Jack. He's saying, "I want to go there and win gold." It just seems like all these younger generations, and even you know, it seems to becoming a thing of the past, downplaying your performance like that, and people are starting to realize, oh, I can actually sell myself by saying I'm going for gold. And you're seeing more and more athletes saying that, even in the gymnastics community. You know, the standard is completely changing, with the likes of Adam Steele and Emma Slevin making the all-around final at the Europeans for the first time ever in Irish history. That's their new standard. They're wanting to not just participate in European Championships, they're going there to try and get medals and trying to make finals. So it's definitely becoming normalised.
This may be a bit of a leap on my part, but does the element of being from County Down even change things? Because like this is just something that popped into my head because we were doing a Mount Rushmore series on the show last year, just to try and pass a bit of time during lockdown. And when we got to County Down, it was absolutely insane, the talent that county has. I don't think many people appreciated it, but like you had George Best and Rory McIlroy straight away, first two heads up there. I'm not sure, as I say, it's probably a bit of a leap on my part, but that idea that you're growing up in a place where your local sports heroes are not only local sports heroes, they are global icons.
Yeah, and I think that's very important for younger kids to see that. Of course, I was young watching Rory McIlroy out there winning Masters and stuff. So it's so impressive to see somebody that's just 10 minutes down the road being the best athlete in your field. And it sparks that kind of inspiration. And I always said it when I was younger, like, oh, I'm going to be that athlete that is up there and the best in the world. So yeah, I think you're completely right in saying that there is a certain mentality in maybe County Down or in any other county where there's been predecessors that have been incredibly successful in their field that have inspired the next generation. It shows how powerful sport really is at inspiring the younger generation.
Can I ask then specifically who was your inspiration? Because you mentioned Adam and Emma there, and I'm sure Adam maybe points to you from the last couple of years, but certainly the next generation beyond the three of you will point to you three as the trailblazers in the sport, people who actually said, no, it's not okay to just be competing, we want to win. So who is it for you that you look to?
So there wasn't many predecessors, of course, in Irish gymnastics to look to. So I had to kind of look outside the box and look at different sports. So the likes of Carl Frampton, Katie Taylor. I like the boxers because of their mentality mostly. I like their fighting mentality, the way that they're not scared to say, I'm going to win this fight, because they truly believe it. I guess it kind of goes back to that, you know, in the past, amateur athletes, I don't even like that phrase, amateur athletes, past Olympians would say, like, yeah, I'm just happy to be competing at the Olympics. I'm just going to try my best. I would never relate to that. I would always like to listen to Katie Taylor saying, I'm going to go here and win. I'm going to be the greatest. And that resonated with me a lot more, because I could tell that she truly believed it. And I think, yeah, I'd say the likes of Katie Taylor, Carl Frampton, Rory McIlroy, of course, anybody close to home, it's always a great inspiration that I took from them.
So what do you take from the last couple of days then to ensure that you compete at Tokyo? What are the lessons once the dust has settled on the European Championships?
I first of all need to heal up my wrist. Because the day before I flew out to European Championships, I just sustained a wrist injury in one of the conditioning exercises I was doing. and it's just one of those unfortunate things. Like I was doing a media day a week before that happened, and I was, well, no, actually like 3 days before that happened, and I was sitting there telling everybody my body is 100%. I'm going to my physio every week and having nothing to report to him. But one day before I fly, of course, that's when I sustained a wrist injury that I struggled to put pressure on. So we rested it for 3 days and had about 2.5 days until competition after that, where we were just kind of easing ourselves into it.
I don't think people actually quite realize that you would have won at the weekend had you gone to an easier routine. I think it was that stark.
Yeah, I could have done a much easier routine. I could have downgraded by a lot, but it wasn't really about doing an easier routine at those Europeans. It wasn't even necessarily about winning. Of course, I would have wanted to win, but it was about putting out a routine that would be one of the best scores in the world, if not the best score in the world at the time, and the best routine at the time. So it was much bigger than European Championships. It was thinking about Olympic Games. My coaches used the analogy of making it like a presidential campaign. So we were just saying, like, the podium training, so the training in front of the judges was like our live debates, and the qualifications was like the final voting day. But we just didn't, unfortunately, have it pay off on that day. So it is like a campaign. It's like a campaign to prove to everybody, like, this is the routine that I can do. And of course, with gymnastics being a subjective sport, you almost need to get that high score into the judges' heads so that they're not scared to give you a very high score at the Olympic Games.
That's really interesting. I had never thought of it that way. So it's not just about your own mentality, it's also about your own reputation.
Yeah, it definitely is, and you see it in gymnastics, and it's a part of it because it is subjective, the sport. Then it's about trying to prove yourself every single time you go out there and compete. It's not just about getting through a routine or anything. It's about showing the judges, like, this is the execution score I can score even when I upgrade my difficulty, and it's really about creating that campaign for yourself.
Yeah, it's remarkable. So they see you as Rhys McClenaghan, the guy who, if he doesn't get his high score, it's because he's going to fall. It's not because he's not going to try it, or it's not because he's not going to execute something amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And our mantra always, myself and my coach Luke, is be undeniable. And that's where you take out the subjectivity of it, because it's undeniably the best in the world, and we want to have an undeniable routine to put out there, because we don't want it. It's almost similar to fighters saying, I just want to get the knockout, because I don't want it to go down to the scorecards. I don't want that subjectivity. We want to have a knockout routine that is just undeniably, the judges sit back and go, oh, well, he's won. And they've only got a couple of deductions written down on the page, whereas everyone else has over 1 mark deductions or 2 marks deductions.
Yeah, it's fascinating. What was it good being back in competition? Because I know it's been, was it Stuttgart the last time you actually competed? Like, do you have to go that far back?
Yeah, it was that far back since I competed. It was nice to be out competing again. It taught me a lot of things about my physical reaction to competitions. That just little bit of extra tension in your body when you're competing, the way your mind works. And I was actually happy with how my mind felt during the competition. It felt just as it did, like, a little bit nervous on the lead up to the competition, and then as soon as I present to the judges, my hands go on the pommel horse. It's just like I'm back at home. It's like, okay, we're on a pommel horse that I've been training on. Let's do this routine that I've been training as well. So it did feel, it gave me a lot of comfort to know that as soon as I present to the judges and do my routine, start my routine, it's just like doing it at home again.
And how is the wrist now, a couple of days out?
It's getting better every day. So we're just going to continue to rest it, not do any exercises on my hands for now, which is hard for a gymnastic horse. But the main thing is just to rest up this wrist. So hopefully by Monday, I'll be able to do everything I can on this wrist and get back into the gym and be better than ever.
What is the routine looking like for the next 3 months, 2.5 months, I guess, in the lead up to Tokyo? Is it a very solid thing that you know your routine?
Yes, we definitely have a plan. So I had to take out a couple of the skills that were in the routine due to the wrist. So it'll be a relief to kind of get those solid skills back in the routine. Skills that I've been doing since I was no age, since I was probably about 11. I had to take out at this competition because of my wrist, just the way it rotated on that one arm. It was very uncomfortable and very painful. So we had to take it out, and it'll be a lot nicer to have those skills in the routine, because it just gives a very nice baseline. It increases the difficulty, and it kind of makes the routine like it's always been. That confidence, stable and reliable routine that I'm always able to pull off.
For sure. Are you confident? Where are the confidence levels at after the weekend?
They're higher than ever, because I know that everybody in that European Championships, they didn't perform well. Granted, I didn't perform well, but I truly believe that if everybody had done their best routine, I definitely would have come out on top. If everybody in that competition, qualification, and finals done their best routine, I would have 100% come out on top. And I know that I didn't pull it off on the day. I understand that, but it kind of just shows that where I am in Europe and in the world, even with the current Olympic champion being there, he fell off in qualifications, and his routine isn't impressive to me anymore. It used to be years ago, but now that my standard has changed, now that I've refined my routine to almost the best of my ability, there's always room for improvement, but I know that I'm definitely, by a long shot, one of the best in the world.
It's really exciting listening to you, and it's going to be a really exciting few months, Rhys. Just one last thing, I guess, going back to what you were talking about, trying to educate yourself on science and astrophysics. What is your next step in this? I didn't think this would be the note we'd be finishing on, but in terms of feeding your brain, is science something you're interested in away from the horse? Is it something that you'd like to pursue?
No, it's just another challenge outside of gymnastics. I get entertained by challenging myself, whether that be, I don't know, starting to play golf again, just studying. I wasn't big in school. Like I didn't like school at all. And then as soon as I left school, I started to enjoy reading and then enjoy learning more, because I framed it in a different way. It was no longer read these 3 chapters for homework overnight, because then it would be me thinking like, well, I don't have 2 hours in the evening, I'm busy training, so I just wouldn't read the book, and it would make me despise reading. But as soon as I now have time and I've learned how to actually enjoy the learning process and not have it be a chore of any sort like it was framed in school, I've really taken it in my stride and learned how to challenge myself in the ways I like to be challenged in terms of learning and educating myself.
You mentioned Brian Cox on the podcast front. What are you recommending on the book front?
On the book front, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry taught me a lot. That's by Neil deGrasse Tyson. So that was a very good kind of starter into reading books on astrophysics, because it's easier listening to it, because you can almost blank out some words and stuff, and any complicated words. But when you're reading it, you become stumped. But that Astrophysics for People in a Hurry is a great book to start off if you're wanting to get an interest in astrophysics.
Well, listen, Rhys, I'll go and give that a read. And while you're going getting gold in Tokyo, we'll do a podcast after that, and we'll do an astrophysics sort of chat or something like that. Rhys McClenaghan, I should mention again, obviously the first Irish gymnast who have qualified for the Summer Tokyo Olympics. He's also been unleashing his talent behind the scenes, helping to design the men's gymnastics Team Ireland kit, which is soon to be revealed. Supporting and following Rhys on his journey, Team Ireland partner and global job site Indeed, they released a short film from their Talent Unleashed series, which you can check out on YouTube. It is called The Story of Rhys McClenaghan, who you've just been listening to. Rhys, very best of luck with everything over the next couple of months. Chat to you soon.
Thank you so much. Chat to you soon.